follow up with a special order tonight. At the press conference, we really highlighted the issue of when our friends on the Democratic side took over the majority, crude oil prices at $58.31 per barrel of crude oil. And as when we did the press conference of last week, the crude oil price was at $96.65, the price of a barrel of crude oil. Our issue was that when you have no energy plan, when you can't plan, this is the default energy policy of this country. The price escalations, as my friend from Texas, the difference about the price escalations now is that many times when we saw the run-up of these, the cost for a barrel of crude oil in the past, it was based upon some national emergency. Katrina, pipeline disruptions, maybe a refinery fire. What's different about the price escalations today is that it's all demand related. So if you, as many of us have taken Economics 101 in college, maybe in an MBA program, the simple law of supply and demand. If you have high prices, and we say we have high crude oil prices, and we're quoted today at $91 a barrel, you would think that that would then encourage people to go into the business to explore new means of recovery of crude oil so that they would bring more supply into the market so that you would lower the prices. But the policies here in Washington not only prohibit that, but they discourage any investment. Because when people bring capital to the market, they assume risk. And when you assume risk, you assume the opportunity of losing it all. And most people in the investor community and the business community, all they want to do is, if they're going to assume risk, they want to try to get a return on that investment. So last week we had close to $100 a barrel of crude oil. In California, $5 a gallon of gas. Now this is before we even talk about a global warming debate and a 50 cents per gallon tax. And as I said last week, so what you now have is we have European prices for liquid fuel, but we don't have European distances. I always remind my friends, that those that want us, well, why shouldn't we have as high of gas prices as they have in Europe? Well, that's because you can put all of Europe on the eastern seaboard. We don't have the distances that our European friends do, where they can drive across their country in 2.5 hours. I can't drive across my district in 2.5 hours from one point to another, from the far west to the far east. So that's a problem that we have in this debate. So what we would like to see, we've already moved some energy bills on the floor. They're mostly efficiency oriented. We call them the light bulb and the light car tires. What we need to do is really focus on bringing on more supply. And that should be an energy policy. When you have no energy policy, the energy policy of this country is $96 a barrel of crude oil. That's the default energy policy of this country if you do not bring on significant amounts of increased supply. So what kind of supplies? All my friends here on the Republican side, one thing we have in common, although we will talk about different types of supply, is that we're all supply people. We all know that if you want to lower costs, you've got to bring more supply on board. And so that's kind of the commonality of the focus, because when you have more supply, you have lower cost. When you have lower cost, that's lower out-of-pocket cost to the individual consumer. And the consumers are going to start complaining when they're at $3 a gallon of gas, $3.50, especially around Christmas time, because they're going to be spending that extra money at the pump versus going to the store. Then you have an oversupply of toys at the store. We all know about the focus on, the Christmas shopping period. High energy costs will diminish and dampen the ability of our consumers to have a good Christmas shopping season. So that affects the the manufacturers of all the